Every single Tuesday morning, a routine but highly classified operation takes place inside a secure, restricted wing of the United States Patent and Trademark Office in Alexandria, Virginia. While the public and the media focus on the latest Silicon Valley software updates or flashy consumer gadgets, a specialized group of federal examiners sits behind cipher-locked doors, scanning thousands of new civilian patent applications. They are not looking for copyright infringements or minor design flaws. They are searching for something far more critical to the status quo: breakthroughs in physics, energy, and materials that are deemed too advanced, too disruptive, or too dangerous for the public to ever possess. This hidden operation is legally sanctioned under a statute that remains one of the most closely guarded secrets of the federal government. Title 35, United States Code, Sections 181 through 188, universally known within the defense intelligence community simply as Section 181. Passed by Congress during the height of the Cold War paranoia in 1951, the Invention Secrecy Act granted the military-industrial complex absolute veto power over civilian ingenuity. The law states that if a civilian inventor develops a technology that the government decides could be detrimental to national security, the head of the Patent Office is legally required to issue a secrecy order, halting the patent in its tracks and locking it away in a subterranean federal vault. To the average American taxpayer, the official justification for this law sounds entirely reasonable. We are told that Section 181 is a vital shield designed to prevent rogue nations or hostile entities from obtaining blueprints for advanced nuclear triggers, chemical weapons, or experimental military cloaking technology. It is presented as a necessary sacrifice of individual liberty to ensure collective national safety. But if you pull back the heavy curtain of bureaucratic rhetoric and look at the actual data, a deeply unsettling reality begins to crystallize. The vast majority of the over 6,000 active secrecy orders currently in effect do not protect weapons of war. Instead, they classify breakthrough civilian energy systems, ultra-efficient automotive designs, and revolutionary agricultural or medical technologies. In the eyes of the ruling political and financial elite, the definition of a national security threat has been systematically expanded to include anything that threatens the economic stability of multi-trillion-dollar corporate monopolies. The financial math behind this enforcement is staggering, and it hits the pocketbooks of working-class Americans every single day. The global economy runs entirely on artificial scarcity. The value of the petrodollar, the stability of Wall Street energy stocks, and the constant flow of federal tax revenue are completely dependent on the public continuing to pay a premium for electricity, heating oil, and gasoline. If an independent American mechanic or an isolated university researcher develops a self-sustaining generator that can power a suburban home for free, or an engine that completely eliminates the need for fossil fuels, the financial foundations of the modern banking system instantly begin to crumble. A free energy society is a decentralized society, a world where the citizen is no longer a permanent economic captive to central power grids or international oil cartels. Therefore, to protect the financial security of the corporate state, Section 181 is deployed like a silent executioner, strangling technological evolution in its cradle before the public even suspects a miracle has occurred. To understand exactly how this invisible net catches the world's most revolutionary discoveries, we have to look at the classified technical indexes used by the screening unit inside Section 181. These are not vague guidelines. They are precise, highly detailed lists of forbidden scientific parameters known as the Commerce Control List and the Military Critical Technologies List. The moment an independent inventor files a patent that touches these specific technical boundaries, their application is instantly flagged. For example, if you develop a standard solar panel with an energy conversion efficiency that exceeds 30%, your design does not go to the public market. It is immediately diverted to military review. If you design a hydrogen generation system that dramatically improves the efficiency of water splitting, it is flagged. If you discover a unique method for wireless power transmission that can bypass commercial electrical meters, the file is locked down. The system is meticulously engineered to ensure that any technology capable of lowering the cost of basic human survival is captured and classified before it can disrupt corporate revenue. Once a secrecy order is issued under Section 181, the legal trap snaps shut around the inventor with absolute crushing force. The creator receives a formal notice via registered mail, and the rules of engagement are terrifyingly straightforward. The inventor is legally barred from publishing their work, barred from manufacturing a prototype, and barred from seeking private venture capital or corporate partnerships. They are forced into absolute, total silence. If they share their own blueprints with a trusted friend, a prospective investor, or an independent journalist, they have committed a federal crime. Under the strict terms of the statute, the penalty for violating a secrecy order is an immediate sentence of up to 2 years in a federal penitentiary, and an unconditional forfeiture of all intellectual property rights. The inventor's life's work becomes the permanent, exclusive property of the United States government, buried inside classified military archives where the public can never trace it. This legal framework creates a deeply dystopian reality for America's most brilliant independent minds. Imagine spending decades working late nights in a small suburban garage, pouring your life savings, your passion, and your intellect into creating a machine that could clean the atmosphere, eliminate utility bills, and lift millions of families out of economic hardship. You submit your design to the patent office, believing in the constitutional promise that your hard work will be protected and rewarded. Instead, the government uses Section 181 to turn your genius into a legal prison sentence. You are left entirely isolated, unable to defend your reputation, unable to monetize your invention, and legally forced to live a lie while the rest of the country continues to struggle under the weight of engineered inflation and artificial scarcity. The sheer volume of these suppressed breakthroughs grows larger with every passing year. According to the limited, sanitized data released under the Freedom of Information Act, the total number of active secrecy orders has steadily climbed, now sitting at an all-time high of over 6,000 hidden patents. Every single one of those numbers represents a broken dream, a ruined career, and a stolen future for the human race. The vaults of Section 181 have become a massive subterranean graveyard for 21st century physics, a place where the real solutions to the world's most pressing energy and environmental crises are deliberately kept on life support, accessible only to dark-budget military contractors and elite defense scientists who use them for black operations warfare rather than the public good. The ultimate tragedy of Section 181 is not just that it robs brilliant individual inventors of their rightful legacy. It is that it extracts a permanent, crushing financial toll from the average American taxpayer. Generation after generation, working-class families have worked long hours, paid their taxes into the federal treasury, and watched their retirement savings slowly dissolve under the weight of rising energy costs and manufactured inflation. We are told by mainstream politicians and corporate media networks that these economic struggles are the natural result of changing global markets and finite resource depletion. But this is a carefully maintained illusion designed to prevent public outrage. The reality is that you are paying an artificial premium to survive in a world that was technically solved decades ago. The trillions of dollars that hardworking citizens pay every single year to utility conglomerates and international oil corporations represent a massive forced transfer of wealth from the middle class to the ruling elite. If the thousands of energy and fuel efficiency patents currently buried inside the vaults of Section 181 were released to the public tomorrow, the economic landscape of the United States would transform overnight. The cost of electricity would plummet to near zero, the price of transporting food and goods would collapse, and families would instantly retain thousands of dollars of their hard-earned income every year. But the forces that manage the military-industrial complex cannot afford to let that happen. To them, a population that is entirely self-sufficient, a populace that does not rely on a centralized grid, does not require massive corporate employment, and does not carry thousands of dollars of debt just to keep the lights on, is a population that cannot be controlled. Centralized energy is the ultimate tool of social and economic governance. By controlling the flow and the cost of the power that runs your home and your vehicle, the state controls the parameters of your daily life. Section 181 is the invisible wall that ensures you remain inside that economic cage, paying a lifetime of tribute to the monopolies that fund the political establishment. As the older generation of Americans looks back at the trajectory of this country over the last several decades, there's a profound, justifiable sense of loss. You remember an America that was defined by boundless optimism, an era when it felt like independent human ingenuity could conquer any challenge and lift up every community. That unique spirit of freedom and raw innovation was systematically intercepted by the very institutions that were sworn to protect it. The Patent Office, originally established by the Founding Fathers to foster and reward the brilliance of the individual citizen, was transformed into an economic filter designed to protect the wealth of the few at the direct expense of the many. The silent archives of Section 181 stand as a monument to a stolen century of human progress. The technologies required to eliminate pollution, eradicate poverty-level utility debts, and grant true economic independence to every household on American soil are not waiting to be invented in some distant future. They are already here, meticulously cataloged, stamped with federal secrecy markers, and hidden deep within secure military facilities. As you look at your hard-earned money ticking away into corporate hands at the gas pump or on your monthly utility statement, realize that you are looking at the price of enforced ignorance. The world we were promised was stolen, and the lock that holds it shut is made of bureaucratic secrecy and corporate greed. To fully understand how deep this systemic rot goes, we must examine what happens when an inventor tries to fight back against a Section 181 secrecy order. In the history of American jurisprudence, a few brave souls have attempted to challenge these classification mandates in federal court, believing that the Constitution would protect their right to property and free speech. But the moment these cases enter the legal system, they run headfirst into a secondary, equally terrifying legal weapon known as the state secrets privilege. Under this doctrine, the Department of Justice can simply enter a courtroom, hand the judge a classified affidavit, and declare that the mere discussion of the lawsuit would compromise the safety of the United States. The judge, almost always lacking the technical or military clearance to verify the government's claims, is forced to dismiss the case immediately. No evidence is presented, no witnesses are called, and no public record is ever created. The inventor is sent home under the threat of treason, their technology remains confiscated, and the curtain of silence drops back into place without a single ripple in the mainstream media. This absolute lack of oversight has turned Section 181 into a permanent, unaccountable branch of the shadow government. Because the entire operation is classified, there is no congressional committee that actively audits which patents are being taken, why they are being taken, or who is benefiting from their suppression. This opens the door to massive, unchecked corporate espionage at the highest levels of the state. Former intelligence whistleblowers and retired patent examiners have quietly admitted that once a breakthrough civilian invention is classified under Section 181, the blueprints are frequently handed over to major defense contractors, multinational corporations like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, or Raytheon, under the guise of military evaluation. While the original independent inventor is legally barred from making a single dime from their creation, these corporate giants are permitted to integrate the suppressed technology into classified dark-budget weapon systems, securing billions of dollars in exclusive government contracts. The human cost of this structural theft is immeasurable. We are living in a society that is actively being held back, forced to rely on dirty, archaic, and expensive industrial processes that belong in the 19th century. We are told to worry about carbon footprints, resource depletion, and the collapse of the middle class, while the very technologies that could solve these crises are being weaponized or hoarded in secret underground laboratories. The system forces you into a state of artificial dependence, keeping you tired, keeping you stressed, and keeping you financially fragile, because a population that is preoccupied with basic economic survival rarely has the time, the energy, or the resources to stand up and demand structural change. As we look toward the future, the question is no longer whether these revolutionary technologies exist, but how much longer the veil of secrecy can be maintained. The older generation of Americans, who remember a time when the nation's strength lay in its honest, independent working class, has a vital role to play in keeping the memory of true innovation alive. The blueprints may be buried, the models may be hidden, and the inventors may be silenced, but the truth possesses a unique frequency that cannot be permanently suppressed. The next time you look at the complex, extortionate systems that govern your daily expenses, refuse to accept the lie that this is the best humanity can do. The world was already solved. The freedom we were promised is sitting in a vault in Virginia, stamped with a federal secrecy seal, waiting for a generation brave enough to pull back the curtain and reclaim what was stolen from the human race.